On the surface, Bonga is the quintessential South African dream. He is the alpha, a construction mogul with an 80 million rand contract, a luxury car, and a physique that signals discipline and dominance. But in psychology, what we build on the outside is often a defense against what is crumbling on the inside. Why are his relationships a revolving door of allowances and vacations, but zero emotional permanence? To understand Bonga, we have to look past the G-Wagon and into the car he sat in as a boy, waiting for a father who was busy betraying his world. Today, we are using the lens of psychoanalysts like Kohut, Klein, and Chapman to deconstruct Bonga's relationship with his father. We're going to explore why a man who can build a mansion for his mother cannot build a home for a wife. We see Bonga working in construction, literally building homes. This isn't just business, it's a self-soothing strategy. By conquering the world of hard things, concrete, steel, millions, he creates a fortress where the nascent fears of being overwhelmed by his past cannot reach him. Psychologically, the role of the father is to help a child develop a space where he can see himself as separate from the mother. For some men, this search for space is literal. We see it in men who spend hours in the garage, the gym, or the study. We can think of men working in these spaces as a strategy to keep not so much the world of women at bay, but a sense of their own vulnerability. Bonga doesn't just have a garage, instead he has a construction empire. Every brick he lays for his mother's new house is a brick in the wall protecting his inner child. By becoming a provider on steroids, he creates a domain where he is the absolute authority. If he is the boss, then he cannot be the helpless boy left in the car while his father cheats. The car is a confined space. It's a womb of metal, but one that is cold and stagnant. In that car, Bonga learned that the father, the person meant to model how to live a more satisfactory life, is instead a deadly rival. A father's attitude towards women is considered one of the primary blueprints for a son's later interpersonal relationships and his internal image of the feminine. In the case of Bonga, his childhood experiences with his father were a profound violation of his development. By being abandoned in the car as a young boy, Bonga was not treated as a son with his own needs, but instead as an object invited only to participate in acting as a silent witness or a prop to his father's lifestyle. He was never mirrored or seen for who he was. He was simply an extension of his father's ego. As an adult, Bonga subconsciously recreates this dynamic to gain a sense of control over the trauma. By pursuing a no-strings-attached sex and avoiding emotional intimacy, he flips the script. He becomes the one using others as disposable objects to confirm his own pleasure and power, just as his father did. This repetition compulsion allows him to avoid the vulnerability of being a discarded object again, but it leaves him trapped in a cycle where women are not viewed as whole human beings, but merely as tools to bolster his fragile, fragmented self-esteem. By forcing Bonga to become an accomplice to his infidelity, the father destroyed the boy's ability to trust the concepts of a romantic relationship. This is why Bonga has monthly allowances for women, but no marriage. He has replaced commitments with commerce. In his mind, if you pay a woman, then you own the space. But if you love a woman, then she has the power to leave you in the car. Romantic love for Bonga is a tension between the hope of a communion and the fear of suffocation. The role of the father is to be the bridge to the external world, but for Bonga, his father was a contradictory figure, a teacher of how to navigate the world, but a danger to Bonga's peace. When Bonga's father asks to be seen with the new car so people know that his son is rich, he is attempting to participate in Bonga's own pleasure. He doesn't see Bonga. Instead, he sees a reflection of his own lost status. Let's look at the language his father uses. He doesn't say, "I'm proud of you." Instead, he says, "I heard you bought a car and built my wife a home." He immediately asserts dominance over the space Bonga created. Then he asks for a spin in the car and 2,000 rands cash. He wants to use Bonga's wealth to bolster his own failing ego. He is attempting to harvest Bonga's success. This is the ultimate betrayal. A father who failed to provide, now demanding to be provided for. This is known as the second childishness that Shakespeare wrote of. The father, Once the powerful abandoner returns as a parasite, moving back into the house Bonga built, Bonga is now parenting his parents. This is the circularity of trauma. Bonga confronts his father in the field, but here is the psychological catch. Letting go of these traumatic, painful thoughts against his father means that Bonga has to give up the hope of having his mother to himself. When the father moves back in with his mother, Bonga is displaced. He is no longer the man of the house. This mourning of an exclusive relationship is painful. Bonga is realizing that his mother is a separate person with her own desires, even if those desires include a man who hurt them both. His father tells him, "Your mother, my wife, is a generous and forgiving woman." This is a refusal to comply with Bonga's anger. To Bonga, this is unbearable because it reminds him that he cannot control the hearts of others. After he has confronted his father, he then confronts his mother about allowing his father back into the home that he had built for her. She delivers a strong message which becomes a catalyst for Bonga's growth. She challenges his alpha status by pointing out his isolation. Where is your wife, girlfriend, or kids? She identifies that Bonga's alpha behavior is actually a failure to adapt. She is pointing out his inability to tolerate differences in others. Bonga wants to control his mother's forgiveness because her refusal to comply reminds him that other people, including the woman that he loves, has a mind of their own. Bonga's father, as flawed and exploitive as he is, taught Bonga the final hardest lesson, the value of frustration. Frustration, if not excessive, is the stimulus for adaptation. Bonga cannot control his father's return or his mother's love. Psychological growth requires frustration. If life is too easy or if we control everyone, then we never develop a sense of identity. By allowing the father back, the mother is trying to force Bonga to deal with the reality that he cannot buy his way out of. Mourning the exclusive relationship with his mother and letting go of the anger towards his father doesn't mean the relationship dies. It means the idea of the perfect relationship dies, so a real contingent one can begin. When his father returns again to let him know that he has been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, Bonga immediately finds the best doctors and treatments and nurses him in his final days. Ironically, the name Bonga in isiZulu means to be grateful, and one major derivative of love is the feeling of gratitude. Gratitude itself indicates an appreciation of goodness in others and also in oneself. Perhaps when his father was on his deathbed saying, "Thank you, my son," it was his way of indirectly telling Bonga that he loves him. The question for Bonga and for us is this: can we tolerate the differences in others? Are you building your mansion to house your family or to hide your vulnerability? If this clinical analysis helped you to understand the drama of adulting and perhaps your own life, hit that subscribe button and let's keep decolonizing this African psyche one scene at a time together. And I'll see you next time.